Well, if you're not completely happy with how the molecules are moving around you, how can you possibly make music?
Has to be ideal.
And what is ideal for you, Henry Jenkins, second Associate Concertmaster? Hi everyone, welcome to OSA Backstage. I'm Dani Meyer, and on today's episode, Serena and I are talking to second Associate Concertmaster and soloist on our upcoming Symphony Joslyn program, Henry Jenkins. He is performing Piazzolla's Four Seasons of Buenos Aires. A few things. One, we started recording and ended up going straight into conversation, and so it's definitely not in the order that we planned, but that's okay. That's what flexibility is for, right? Right. Two, I feel a little boneheaded. We did not give Piazzolla the context that it absolutely deserves. So here is your short version. If you've never experienced the Piazzolla before, Argentinian composer went over to France to study with the legendary Nadia Boulanger, who's famous for helping composers like Ravel and Gershwin discover who and what their voice is as composers. And he tried really hard, weirdly, to keep the bandoneon, the tango side of him, kind of separate from his composition. And finally, Boulanger heard Piazzolla practicing a few tangos and basically told him, stop being an idiot. This is who you are. Compose using this. And that is where Piazzolla's voice comes from. He stopped being an idiot and he started writing with this exceptional new tango voice, right? So what he did next was he took this concept of Vivaldi's Four Seasons and he did his own take, the Four Seasons of Buenos Aires, for violin, and it was originally for his personal band. And then a Russian, I believe a Russian composer whose name I cannot pronounce, Henry does a really good job, came back and rearranged it for violin solo and strings, and also included some fun excerpts from Vivaldi tucked within, which is just phenomenal. It's highly improvisatory. It's so much fun. And it's one of the most famous solos for violin. Really glad that Henry wanted to play it and that he brought it to us as a potential future solo a couple seasons ago. That's the short version. Hope you enjoy. I know you'll enjoy. And here's the episode.
Really know anymore.
What's in your rider as a soloist? Do you have a rider of...
That is a great question that we should start asking our Joslyn soloists. If you got a rider, what would be in your rider?
A rider. What does that mean?
A rider is...
Well, for example...
A more practical version is
bananas.
Well, there's
Please have some bananas from you backstage and sparkling water, for example.
Right. There's the green M&M thing where it's like everyone thinks like, oh, only give me green M&Ms. And everyone thinks that's a joke. But actually, the reason why that happened was because they knew if you didn't pay attention to the little details, there's no way you're going to pay attention to the big details. And so it's like keeping these big rock stars safe. If you have people who are just skimming stuff and doing shoddy work on rigging and so that's where the rider's actually important.
That's interesting. So it's kind of just a test. And do people know that it's sort of like a showbiz trick to here's what you have to do to prove to him that you care or whatever.
You would certainly hope so. The amount of alcohol that's put in riders, it's Jamie has perfected the art of the red strike through followed by the Holland is an alcohol and drug-free workplace. Oh. Yeah, it's like I need 2 bottles of Don Julio backstage. No, you do not.
So we're really not allowed to do that?
We're not supposed to.
Right.
But I
understand.
Yeah, but this is your imaginary rider, so you can ask for anything.
I feel really repulsed by all of that. Mm-hmm. I want there not to be a rider at all.
Great. No bananas, no sparkling water.
No music stand in your dressing room.
Well, that maybe. I don't know, or maybe not, so that I don't start trying to practice or something and freak myself out.
Right.
Because that's the idea that I like to make it a normal musical situation, as it's been put to me before, and then it just feels more natural.
Another day at work.
Even just the same kind of looseness as a rehearsal would be if you don't make it if there's not a red carpet for you to walk down and just really feel like it's supposed to be perfect or whatever.
That's a really great way of segging into this. It's we get to feature you guys on not as often as we'd like, obviously, right? We rotate you on, and you came to me it feels like a couple seasons ago, and said, I would love to do Piazzolla Four Seasons. And it is kind of like a special treat kind of piece. So how do you start walking that line where this is just every day, this is just work, and I just happen to get to play Piazzolla today?
Well, I think it's an interesting piece because it is so improvisatory, right? Even in the writing, we're doing the arrangement by Desyatnikov, right? So he basically just took, I don't know if there was any actual written down music that Piazzolla had written, but his band made recordings of doing all of these seasons, right? And then Desyatnikov took these recordings and sort of orchestrated them, but also wrote in his own improvisation for the solo part. And it's done in such a way that implies that you are supposed to just improv on top of that, because it doesn't really make sense to follow every single little. And I think musicians will encounter people trying to transcribe solos exactly, and it's just impossible to read it because it's not really, it's not idiomatic to have like the septuplets with 3 rests in it, and then you have to,
Well, unlike a Chopin nocturne, which is by yourself, so you could play that 23-note run however you want to,
right,
which is actually a thing in Chopin, just like a 23rd or whatever you call it. You have to be with an ensemble the whole time. Okay, so he wrote it out, but he knew the expectation would be something totally individual.
Yeah.
Okay, so keep going. Like, how do you approach that? Do you start with that arrangement and start with that improvisation and let it define how you want to go forward?
Yeah, I think so. And I think I feel like I'm acquainted with the piece just from listening to it, and I have performed Spring before with an orchestra. But I've also played the orchestra part for the whole series actually pretty recently. And I've just listened to it. It's nice to listen to. So, but I feel like if I was just to do score study or whatever, it wouldn't really make immediate sense. I'm really excited to start rehearsing it and to see how we're going to approach just starting from the beginning, and then if we're all going to have to stop and start to explain rubatos, or if it's going to become natural, which I think that it will, actually. The piece actually flows very naturally, even if it seems kind of esoteric if you're looking at just one line. There's a lot of effects and a lot of soli and divisi in it, so it doesn't, if you're not listening to the whole thing and you're just playing the little like scratchies in third chair, second violin, whatever, it's not really going to, you won't picture it falling together like it will, but I'm confident that it's just going to kind of all flow.
Is there a lot of, have you been talking to Paul Ledwan, his will play principal, about his cadenzas and all that, and if you're going to kind of play off of each other for that, if he's going to follow kind of a print, or if he's also going to take that as to mean improvise on your own? I
think I'm excited to see what he does, because he's really the first person to solo, actually.
Which is
it's the first movement, and he has his cadenza that takes up basically 5 minutes, I'm pretty sure. And then I come in and kind of bounce off of what he did. So I kind of don't want to suggest for him to do anything either way. I want to see what we can come up together.
Okay, so this is super cool, and we definitely skip right to the middle as opposed to the way we usually start. But this was something we really wanted to ask you, because this is a concerto that I think most of us have heard rather than maybe played, or we've listened to recordings, because it's quite famous, because it's sometimes infamous. I think like it's not a Mozart concerto, there's not Beethoven or Brahms, and there's a freedom that feels inherent, but there must be so much study and work into making that freedom actually happen. Where was the first time you encountered something even like this? And like, what do you work on to make it feel effortless when we in fact know it's not?
I guess I can use this actual piece itself as an example. There's a lot of very difficult passages in it that you actually have to shed the notes and kind of break it down and treat it as if it were a run in a Mozart concerto or whatever. And then over time you get it in your fingers, and then you can just sort of let it rip in any way that the music calls for. And I think it's interesting to compare how you would do that compared to a Beethoven or Mozart, right? Like you do kind of treat it the same. You shed the notes very slowly and carefully, and then you sort of let it flow after that. But I feel like with Beethoven, you kind of hit a wall where you stop being stylistically correct. And I guess the same thing could be said for the Piazzolla, right? Because you want to have a certain style with it. But I guess I'm trying not to overthink it. I just want to let it kind of...
You obviously, like, you have to be immersed enough to not have to think at the time, just to let it happen. Mm-hmm. Are there other pieces you've played prior to this that made you want to get to Piazzolla?
You mean something that inspired me to play Piazzolla specifically?
Yeah, like you just have this kind of natural draw towards out-of-the-box violin solos, right? Like you're not afraid to tack an electric violin. You're not afraid to do, the Resonance soiree last year. You weren't afraid to be the bohemian violin player kind of weaving in and out, right? Like you seem to enjoy taking risks, and Piazzolla has that air constantly of the soloist is taking a risk. They're on this tight wire. Like, where did you first decide, I want to try doing stuff like that, or was there no conscious decision?
I guess it's less about being drawn to any one particular style or genre and more an interest in doing whatever's presented to me 100%.
Okay.
I guess. Or not 100%, or rather like giving it my all in whatever music is put in front of me or expected of me, which I think is interesting. I think all genres and all types of music are rewarding if you give it the credit it deserves. If you actually try to stick to the style, or with the soiree, for example, that was really fun. And honestly, it is something close to me because I kind of grew up listening to that music, and that was fun. Yeah, I'm not going to say that I'm a jazz musician at all. Anybody who actually plays jazz knows that was total BS, everything I was doing. But, it was basically a character I was playing, right? Okay. So I guess you could put it like that. You are acting, or...
So you enjoy inhabiting different characters.
Yeah, sure.
So you said you listened to jazz growing up. You listened to that. Yeah. Okay. So did music start at home, in the concert hall, or at school for you?
Definitely at home. My parents would listen to all kinds of music also, since I was little. And this one in particular, the hot jazz, cafe jazz trio stuff with Django Reinhardt and Stefan Grappelli. My dad would always play those CDs when we were driving. I just remember that, and then I kind of got hooked on that sort of music. And I never really... At the time, I didn't devote practicing jazz or, devoting time to practicing, actually learning how to improv and stuff like that. But I was always really charmed by the carefreeness of it, if you will. Sort of just not having to stick to a specific note that's written down. Because I was learning Suzuki method at the time, which is not a knock on them at all, I feel like. We all owe them a lot, Can
we explain Suzuki real fast?
Yeah.
So I never went through Suzuki because I'm a bass player.
Oh, really? They don't have one for...
They do now. I don't know if it existed when I was tiny enough to benefit from it. I got the Essential Elements.
Essential Elements, flute, all the band instruments.
I got Samandal, which is...
Yes, the bass specific.
Is that the orange t-shirts that you wear? I love that.
It's great.
I'm jealous.
I still
wish
can't
we had
believe someone made that a t-shirt. 1890s bass torture. And then, the French Rabat stuff. But Suzuki never showed up. So Suzuki was brought over and then swept the nation, right? And it's a systematic series of pieces that do you memorize from Go? Is that the expectation?
I think you're expected to memorize.
Okay.
Yes.
So playing by ear, right? You're learning everything by watching others and playing with other older people, and you hear the music and then you do what you hear and you do what you see.
So Okay, so the Sprouts program here in Omaha, Suzuki based, the Sprouts program is great because it connects the tiniest of tots with like instruments this big, and they gain confidence, right, in violin. But if that is very prescribed, you do exactly as you like. The notes are in this order with this bone, with your Mississippi hot sauce. Yeah. So it didn't take you too long to realize that you kind of wanted to push the Suzuki boundaries a little bit. Yes. And actually what you said about learning by ear, and that I didn't realize whether or not that was specific to Suzuki or if that's sort of part of it, like you are expected to just like be able to replicate things without knowing what the notes are.
Yes, I think
but that's how I have approached music my whole life, actually. And honestly, I couldn't really read music effectively until undergrad, even masters, really. It's sort of, I kind of just absorbed that, or rather grew that muscle from being in orchestra and having to churn out music, have it in front of you, and then the most efficient thing to do is really just be able to look at the notes and play them. And without having to listen to the whole piece and internalize it that way. But before then, that's how I learned everything. It's just listening to it and replicating the sound. So that's, I think, why I'm drawn to different types of music, is because that's how I think of all of it. Sort of just repetition of sound, or absorbing something someone did and growing on that, or using it to interpret a different genre even. That's fascinating. So how did you even survive undergrad? I didn't really. It was pretty rough for me, actually, because it was totally a different world than I was used to when I got there. I failed out of theory immediately, obviously. Oh man! Because I just not for lack of trying. I really just had no idea what was going on, and it was sort of assumed that you at least knew what the tonic, etc. was, but I really didn't. I didn't know any of that stuff because I never really thought about it. I mean, my teachers tried, but I kind of just would rather learn. Yeah. And mess around. We'll just make stuff up. So you had to figure out how to get through undergrad. Yes. But what do you remember? Was there a turning point where you realized it was worth it, or was it always worth it to play an orchestra? Is this is orchestra kind of your end goal, or do you just enjoy seeing what happens next? I think the cliche of every undergrad violinist is that they're going to be a soloist, whatever. And I never thought that, really. I didn't know what I was expecting, even. I just thought, I'm going to be here and learn how to play, and we'll see what happens. And then, after that, when you're a sophomore, everybody's like, oh, well, I'm going to get an orchestra job and be a chamber musician. I'm going to join a famous quartet and then do orchestra for my day job. and then you get to masters and you're like, all right, I got to learn excerpts so I can get a job at all. I need to But I was never very, I was never cynical about it. I was just happy to be making a living off of music. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I like all kinds of music, so this is very bohemian of you. Yeah, I guess you're establishing yourself as a bohemian. So you just kind of went in with this sort of optimistic, I'm enjoying this, I'm going to keep trying, which is fantastic. So then how did you decide to go to your master's and stick with orchestra? I'm going to stick with this route. Mm-hmm. Is there a piece? Do you feel like there was a light bulb moment, or has it all just been interesting to watch play out? I think a light bulb moment I can think of in particular is when I went to NRO in 2021, maybe. It was the second time I went, but I was principal second for the whole season. And just, it's something about the experience there and the confidence I built being a section leader in that context, and just having people rely on me and the validation of things going okay and people trusting me and me doing solos without crashing and burning and kind of getting a better grip on being able to read or sight read and read notes effectively. I just felt all of a sudden this burst of confidence in orchestra playing. And I remember that year I actually submitted the tape for this job. And it's nice. Like, all right, I feel good about myself. And then I came and auditioned here. So,
man. Yeah, I love that. I love the idea that confidence builds kind of more competence. And, right. And that's something that so when you teach or when you have been taught, why is Mrs. Chang making me do scales again for the 8 billionth time? It's like, well, if you build the muscle memory, you see the scale on your page and your hand will do what it's supposed to do on its own. You're taking away the thinking aspect of it. And it sounds like you had to combine that with the music you could already hear, because that's half the battle for me. Is if I can hear my part, I know I can play it. If I can sing along as we're in an orchestra, we're fine, no issues. It's when I can't do it fast enough that I have problems.
Yeah.
Do you feel like now, no matter where you're sitting, you have that confidence to just keep going with the flow? Or do you feel like that's something you work on every single day?
I think I've reached a potentially dangerous level of orchestra playing, for violin specifically, I think. Because now I can kind of coast and just let it happen and let my technique just do everything for me. Not necessarily at an amazing level, but a professional level. And I could just check out and stop. But, we have to challenge ourselves and keep finding ways to make everything interesting. Every piece you play, it's an opportunity to have fun and learn and practice your technique and everything. So I try to do that. I try to treat everything like it's new and inspire myself.
Do you you also do things like you just happen to play mandolin and guitar. This is an upper string thing that I do not understand at all. You violinists and violists just randomly show up with a mandolin to services like, hi, hello, yes, I'm ready. And I don't understand how you do that. So, and you played guitar in our Alexander Payne show. Why?
Why guitar? Emily needed a guitar, and I was so scared because I've played guitar my whole life, but certainly not a classical trained level, and I can't really read the music very well. So I was so scared it was going to be something like, I said yes, but I looked at the music and it was just chords that you can improv in the style of it was the Italian movie. I forget exactly what it was.
The Morricone? Or,
I don't know if it was him that wrote it, but it was like a very 60s sounding, just like simple rock groove kind of thing. And I was able to figure that out, but I spent so much time practicing the chords because I was so afraid of embarrassing myself in every room. And it was honestly so weird being on the other side of the stage and having to try to listen to the keyboard and the rhythm section that is 100 feet apart from each other. So difficult. And I have so much more respect for everyone that is not sitting right next to the conductor all the time. Because I forget how hard it is to, interpret from literally 100 feet away.
But then if you have the opposite, if you're used to sitting 100 feet away, to be suddenly in the hot seat, it's like, I feel very exposed.
I'm sure.
So you played guitar prior to that, right? You didn't just, okay.
Yes. Yeah, I had some knowledge of guitar, definitely.
How long do you think it took for you to feel like you were comfortable?
Preparing for that specific moment?
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever felt comfortable, honestly. I mean, I definitely drilled the chords. There was like 3 chords, and I just practiced doing them in different inversions over and over and over again while I was watching TV. I just I can't mess this up,
Nice.
Because it would be so obvious. Whereas with violin, you're one of 100 of us, and it's just like, you can miss a note. It's fine.
Can you?
I don't know.
I mean, it is the percentage of notes y'all have versus the percentage of notes I have is kind of obscene.
Right.
I thank God for it almost every week that I don't play your instrument. But yeah, the grocery list test or the TV test, it's like, well, my hands do what they're supposed to do when my brain is totally engaged elsewhere. Okay. Okay. You also, that's fun because you looked cool as a cucumber when you just like parked yourself there for the.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad it wasn't.
Your poker face is phenomenal. Okay, you also play all the chamber music, which I think will be really helpful for the Piazzolla, right? Like
Yes.
Do you enjoy? You said you were principal second at NRO, and that's a very strong but supportive role.
Mm-hmm.
Then you usually play a lot of first violin for the quartet gigs or the chamber music. Do you have like a preferred role in chamber music that feels good, or are you open to all of it?
I like all of it. I mean, I even like playing viola on the off chance that someone wants to humor me.
Been around a music mentors on viola once.
Are you serious?
Once or twice even, I think.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Do all of you just do that? Is it just...
He went from there to like all the way. It was great.
But you have to... But alto club's a night... How do you... Sorry. Bass players do one thing, and we have 3 clefs that we deal with, and they're in very specific spots. And like, that's it. We're done. Mm-hmm. Don't have to transpose anything. Going back and forth between violin and viola sounds like a nightmare.
Yes. Well, it's only if the key signature is simple enough for me to do my cheating system.
Okay.
Because if you look at it, I just pretend that the note is actually one line up. So it looks like I'm just pretending that I'm playing like a whole step in a different position. And I pretend that the strings are the same as the violin. It's just a big violin. I don't know. That's the thing. If I don't think about it.
Yeah, it's about the positions.
Okay.
Rather than like having to transpose every note. It's like, okay, if I'm just going to pretend that I'm in this different, then then I can read it kind of like violin.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I love this because it seems to combine all of your strengths at the same time.
Me not being able to read music really helps actually a lot. Like I'm not worried about what note it actually is. I just put my finger in the right place.
You're not blocked in by expectations or... Exactly. Yeah, my brain, on the other hand, is just like error 404, just flashing across the screen.
There's too much theory.
There's too much theory. So you will play almost anything, as long as it feels interesting and engaging. Mm-hmm. Have you ever found a composer where like, this is it, like this is my voice, or does that change just because you have something new and that's exciting?
I would say the latter most often, but I am never not charmed by Dvorak. I'll say that. It's so cute and rustic and just makes me feel happy in a way that most music, or most composers rather, they don't really, it's less brooding, which is nice sometimes.
Mm-hmm. He does tend to be very optimistic. He played violin too. He was an exceptional violinist, which I always...
Dvorak was?
Yeah. Yeah. He was one of those where he had to decide if he was going to compose or if he was going to be a violinist. And Carl Nielsen was another, just a bunch of y'all doing
Nielsen,
things.
Yeah. Actually, I love his violin concerto, and I would love to play it. And I've learned the whole thing because he actually played violin, and it's very idiomatic. It's not so much harder than it is. It
sounds simple. Really hard.
Yeah, but he's just using open strings and regular little arpeggios and stuff. It's really actually very doable.
So
interesting.
Okay.
So much more than like Brahms or that stuff is just cruel.
written by a pianist for a friend who can't say no. Okay, yes. Amazing. Henry, this has been a delight. I am so excited for Piazzolla. I'm excited to see what you do. Have you listened to specific recordings, or do you tend to? I know you said like you grew up with this. You love listening and hearing it. Do you try to listen to as many as you can, or do you narrow it down?
I tend to narrow it down when I do listen to something I'm working on. Oftentimes, if I'm going to play a piece, I don't want to listen to it too much so that I don't just start replicating or trying to replicate what somebody else did, but the diet version of that. You know what I mean? I want to just create our own voices with whoever I'm playing it with, or however you would say that. I do really like Laura St. John's recording of Piazzolla.
Okay. With the Simon Bolivar Youth Orchestra.
Oh, that's got to be cool. Okay.
Yeah, as she's bending all kinds of rules and just doing it wherever she wants with everything, and that is really inspiring. I'm not going to replicate exactly what she's doing.
You should have your own voice.
Yes, I mean, listening to that really inspires me to just let loose.
I love knowing what's possible. I think that's what the recorders like. Even if it's someone introduced me to the phrase, that's a choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a nice way of saying, oh, absolutely not. But it's for...
I wouldn't. However, the fact that we can, I think, also speaks to that variety that you're talking about with music. Making everything is interesting. Everything can be new. What can I find about this that I enjoy? Maybe that's doing some crazy tempo or some other choice that you might not agree with. But,
But it's out there.
It's out there.
It's better to, like, you start, I think, realizing what you want more, even if sometimes that's by narrowing down what you don't want. How much does working with people, your colleagues that you've known for years now, how much does that help you in a situation like Piazzolla where it is so ensemble? Everyone has a part, but you're also coming to the table. It's like, we're going to kind of see what happens. There's not one expectation for how it's going to go. So how much does helping or knowing your colleagues help?
Well, I'm sure it can't hurt that I've played with pretty much everybody in a chamber music setting at this point. And I was thinking specifically Thomas and Paul and Greg in the lower strings, and Bobby and Nate, and that's going to really help just... they'll be able to tell what I want pretty quickly and easily, and that's going to help drive everything or slow it down, depending. I know that the violins are going to get really excited about this because there's a lot of soli. I'm not sure exactly how many people are going to be on each part for this. Probably 6 or even 4. It's not going to be big.
Yeah.
It's a little reduced, right?
It's a little reduced. I forgot what the score says, but there's like a suggestion, I guess, that the arranger. But yeah. And
it's just because this concerto functions differently than, we have a Mozart concerto, you have to thin out the competing texture so that your voice rises above. And this is not that at all. This is kind of, I feel like you're bending back and forth between leading things and then using your color to make the ensemble color even better. You don't really get to rest, but it's like fighting is the wrong word, but it does feel like a push and pull the entire time. So if it's too small, it's not going to work, and if it's too big, it's not going to work either.
Yeah.
Which is a bunch of gibberish for saying, I hope we reduced it to the proper amount.
We can always do it in post, I guess.
There is no post.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds really corny to say, but it's like a dance. The solos are all just moving around each other all the time and having to match the energy. Or not, depending.
What's a dance is a much better word than a fight for a concerto.
Well, that was just my thought. I don't know, but it can be fighting sometimes.
It is a tango. I'm the dumbest person in the universe. It's
no, I mean, it's barely even a tango anymore. The way that it's all like.
Yeah.
You could.
It's sort of like in the way that Baroque stuff had dance forms. It's like nobody was going to actually dance to that.
It helps. It informs you to know what the dance was like, but no one's going to come dance an allemande while you. Yeah. Okay. No, that's I. Knowing the tango will definitely inform how this piece goes, but it is. You could abstract dance these tangos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be cool. I mean, I've seen videos of Piazzolla's actual band playing this stuff with dancers in front. And I don't know if... I don't really understand how dance works, honestly. I know you dance, but... I don't know if it's all routine or is a lot of improvising or...
Interesting. I think it depends on the style.
Yeah.
For ballet, there definitely isn't. There's only the kind of variation of the physicality of each dancer, adjusting air time for each leap or kind of, spins that they do that affects the music. And that's what can be fun about live,
Live
music,
ballet.
live to ballet, but other much more rhythmic things like Irish dance, it's all choreographed. For sure. For tap, which is based on something more improvisatory with jazz, probably not. I mean, when you're learning tap, it's all very choreographed. But I think out in our Christmas show tap, it's built in improvisation. Just like, okay, we're going to trade fours here. You might say to the band ahead of time, or you just kind of indicate. It's the same thing where we'll tell the dancers you're going to trade fours, and then they get to improvise. And
so but just obviously just like any instrument, you start with these building blocks and then you build to the freedom to be able to do what you want. So it sounds effortless, but it is in fact not. Since you have played half the instruments on stage, it seems, if you had 30 minutes, no consequences, you could just waltz on stage, look around, do whatever, or try whatever, what would you do?
I have just never been able to figure out wind and brass instruments.
Okay.
And I've never really had any real training at all, so it would be interesting to try. I think my friend in undergrad, he tried to teach me oboe, and I couldn't make a sound at all. Something about the keys, and it's not linear. You're trying to go up a scale, but it's
no.
I don't understand that.
What about, but maybe trombone, because that is somewhat linear. At least,
but then it's not also. It's like,
no, and then it's not anymore. But then it's not.
No, trombone is impossible. I've been with Pat for 15 years now, 16 years now, and it's like I don't even understand. He's got partials. He adjusts accordingly. There's different notes in each partial, and he just happens to know these things. It's an insane system. I don't condone it. But okay, so not oboe. My fear is probably not trombone. But would you just try all of them?
I love bassoon. I feel like, people ask, if you didn't play violin, what would you play? I would say bassoon. Mm-hmm. Never tried one, never even held one, honestly, but it's just, I like the sound. I like that it has the biggest range in orchestra. It's just very Professor Harry Pottery sound, which I love.
Never heard it described.
You know what I mean?
Like, what's the... Yeah, there's the... Is there a theme? Is there a Harry Potter theme that uses bassoon?
Chamber of Secrets uses lots of contra, but that's not what you're talking about. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's something.
Lockhart, but that's the one with just the winds. Oh, how does that go?
Oh, is that the Nimbus 2000?
Yep.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's yeah.
Bassoon's a great choice. Yeah, it gets all the good solos too. I mean, no offense to all the other instruments and all of their solos, but bassoon gets all the best ones.
It always has the most human quality when it comes out of the woodwork, and it is, if you will. I don't know. I mean, it's just specific to the way Jim plays, though. I mean, it sounds like someone singing. It's amazing. I love it.
Jim is amazing. I'm wondering though if Prokofiev has unfairly influenced us, because in Peter and the Wolf, Grandpa is played by a bassoon. And otherwise in The Winds you have a bird, a duck, and a cat. And
all the funny sounds.
The funny sounds. And I went to Prokofiev's like, no. The grandpa has to at least sound somewhat
wise.
What's Peter represented by again?
Strings.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's Peter's theme.
So we've all been unfairly influenced by Prokofiev. And I'll take that. I'll go down swinging on that. Henry, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much.